Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What is going on? I am your boy Q from the I Hate Football podcast, and happy to join you guys tonight, man. Talk a little bit about the most recent college football game, the college football title game between Miami and Indiana. And to talk a little bit about the game, man, I got a very special friend of the show, a buddy of mine who I've known for a really long time, whose show I've been on, a good bit, and invited him on tonight to talk about the game. And you guys may know him from the 305 Sports Now podcast. My boy Will, what's going on, homie?
Oh man, how's it going, bro? How you doing, dude?
I was good, brother. I was good, man. Just over here, man. We're 72 hours, right? 72 hours. Post devastation.
Yeah.
And I was
still not over it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was listening on with my buddy Russ from the College Blitz podcast, and man, I was telling him that it's crazy, right? Because it's the title game, right? And we've been waiting 23 years for another opportunity at it, right? And I expected to be more, I don't know, angry, disappointed. I was definitely disappointed. I think I expected to be more angry about it. And now with time to kind of look back on it and time to kind of reflect on the season, I'm just not as mad as I thought I was gonna be. And and I look at it, in terms of kind of big picture, right? Where this program has been, right? The 5-7 seasons and losing to Middle Tennessee State and the not kneeling and missing out on top talent from Miami and the whole deal. And this is a different time, man. This is a different time. I think if you're a Miami fan, I think you have to be excited, right? But before we get into all that, man, I think, in terms of the game, right, the game itself, right, Miami loses 27-21, in a game that, a lot of people were calling for a beatdown, right? I think if you looked at the spread, I thought it was borderline disrespectful, to be honest with you. Miami hasn't lost a game in double digits in nearly 3 years. And so, you're looking around at before the game and what people were saying and how Miami was going to be outmatched, how Carson Beck was going to wet the bed and how he was da-da-da-da. And you look at it, and if it wasn't for a couple mistakes, which we'll get into, right, I think, we're celebrating number 6, right? And so tell me before anything, just tell me your view on the game itself. What did you see? Like, what do you think went wrong in the game when everything was said and done?
Yeah, well, I want to piggyback on what you said. I thought it was disrespectful, and I thought the worst ones were the CBS analysts that they were saying a 25-point blowout was inevitable for Miami when Miami had obviously the toughest road to the national championship game, in which they played in a hostile territory over in Kyle Field, and they had to play defending national champion and had to play what was probably the best offense in the entire SEC that season, which was Ole Miss. So I mean, I thought they were blatantly disrespected. It was on their home field. Miami hadn't wet the bed against a really strong opponent in, like you said, about 2 or 3 years. I mean, they've been they've even in losses, they've showed out, even in down years under Coach Cristobal. So that's just the way I feel. And the way I saw this game, like I'll be honest with you, I was really surprised how well, especially in the first half, Indiana's defensive line held up against our offensive line. And that really surprised me. I thought we could bully them. We had a weight advantage average by 50 pounds. So I expected Mark Fletcher to really set the trend, early on in the game. And I thought that Indiana was ready for everything we threw at them. They tackled well. They're very well. They were very well coached. They're very good. They outside they were there. Between the tackles they were there. Every single yard that Miami tried to gain was very difficult in the first half because Indiana was ready for a lot of it as well. That's why I didn't get mad when we tried going for the field goal, because at the end of the game you have to look at the way the game's being played. In my perspective, Coach Cristobal saw this is going to be a rock fight, and we have to take as many points as we can. So when it was 4th and 2, with about 50 plus seconds left, whatever it was, I understood the reason to take the field goal. You take the points, go into the locker room down by a touchdown. right? And Carter Davis had made those field goals at home this season. It's not like, it was like it was like it was an anomaly that he could make it. So that was my trend, especially with the first half. In the second half, I thought Miami played a lot better. They opened up the offense a little bit more, and they also went a little bit with more tempo. And I think that tempo caught Indiana off guard because they expected Miami to stick with the game plan and just go smash mouth the entire way. And at the end of the day, it actually opened up the running lanes, which led to the Mark Fletcher 57-yard touchdown run, which was a beauty as he went between the tackles and just went through. All in all, man, I mean, I'm going to congratulate Indiana. Very well coached team. Kirk Cinetti built his team off of veterans. Fernando Mendoza was gutsy the entire game, bloody lips, thrown all over the field. When he wasn't getting sacked, he was getting beat up. That touchdown run, you got to give him credit. I mean, he took a shot from Toure. I thought he was going to fumble and Miami would get the ball back at a touchback, but no, he held on to the football, in general. And again, like I told you, I told, Lou and Ashley, the sports babe and Luke from Dade. And I said on my show, Miami to beat Indiana would have to play mistake-free football. It would be the cleanest game they would have to play this whole season. And they just didn't. You had the block punt, you had the missed field goal, you had the penalties as well. And then, of course, you end the game with a Carson Beck interception. So all in all, man, I'm proud of this football team. I'm disappointed because we were 45 yards away from a 6th national championship. But I'm proud of this team, man. They fought and they fought hard. And on my next episode, I'm gonna say it, man. Mario's got warriors. Like, those kids are warriors. They're not just run-of-the-mill football players. They are absolute dogs, man. Those guys weren't intimidated. They didn't show any intimidation. The lights weren't too bright for them. They brought it. They brought it in every single game in this playoff. They brought their very best. They brought the heat. They played with passion. They played with force, and they played with the word of the year with a lot of violence. And I think that's gonna go into the 2026 season.
Yeah, man. The game itself, I'm with you. Just like a lot of the predictions and the projections, we're saying that I don't think it was a surprise to anybody that if they didn't play a clean game, they weren't going to win the game, right? And what I was hoping the entire time is really, for them to execute like they did against Ohio State, right? And if we're looking at the way they played in that game, super clean, no accepted penalties, which was insane to me, at the end of the game to hear, they weren't turning the ball over, right? No dumb penalties and everything like that. And then you look at, what they did in the title game, which is, they had, obviously some pass interferences, the face mask call, was stuff to kind of extend drives. You look at the miscues on special teams, and ultimately, man, when, the very simple view of it is, you gave up, 10 points on special teams, you lose by 6, right? Yeah. And so, you like to see, what the results would have been if that field goal's made, and that punt, which, dude, every time I see that replay, yeah. I get angry. You're looking at, you start off with the fact that, and you start off with Malachi Toney fielding the ball inside the 5. Now, what I will say about that is, and Malachi Toney the entire season, mind you, he's been the punt returner from day one, right? True freshman, and has been the punt returner from day one. Hasn't muffed anything that I can remember, right? Has made really good decisions in terms of, fielding the ball and the whole deal. I saw some explanations online where they were saying that the reason he fielded it, and if you look at, I don't know who was at the very top of the screen, who was on the very opposite side of literally the very opposite side of the goal line. But I think what they had set up, from what people are talking about, is they had a trick play set up where, Malachi would start running with it and he would lateral it way across the field. And if you look at it, if you look at any of the replays from it, I don't know if it was Keelan Marion, I don't know who was back there. Somebody was back there at the very opposite end of the goal line. So people are speculating that it's like they had a trick play set up, and that's why he fielded it and the whole deal. Was I was furious when he did. I was like, dude, what the hell are you doing? You're like at your 4-yard line. Like, it doesn't matter what you have set up. You let that go. You let it go into the end zone because they're bearing down on you right there, and you're going to fair catch it at the 4. Like, what are you doing? But then on top of that, now you set your offense back against a defense that's been playing really, really well. And, they didn't gain many yards, right? And then the punt, comes. Alex Bauman whiffs on the block. And then Dylan Joyce, of all the things, Dylan Joyce literally just drifts right into the punt getting blocked, like, which I didn't understand. It was like, dude, you literally drifted all the way right into the guy's hand who blocked it, right? And so again, the missed field goal, the easy, punt return for the block, punt for a touchdown, and really there's your game, right? The rest of it, even with them not playing well in the first half, and with some penalties, giving up some fourth downs, right, some third and longs, and the whole deal, dude, you were still in a position that you could have won the game, right? And so I'm with you in terms of, listen, based on the recent history of this program, anybody who's not like, I get being angry, I get being disappointed. Been there, done that. Trust me. Many Saturdays of mine have been ruined by this program and this damn team. Like, I understand this, but at the same time, when you're looking at how far we've come, right? I mean, call it what it is. But when you're looking at how far we've come, when you're looking at being so close to a title, when you're seeing, what's going on in the portal, right? What's going on in terms of, guys entering the draft, right? So on and so forth. It's like, you can't help but be excited. Me personally, at least, right? I can't speak for everybody else, but I think if you're looking at everything objectively, I think you really, really have to be, excited about where the program's going, right? We were right this close to number 6, but I think, when you're looking at the future, I think the future is bright, and you got to be excited for what's next.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think Coach Cristobal is right. The trajectory of the program is heading in the right direction. You're not going to out recruit Mario Cristobal. He's going to outwork you. He's going to make his staff outwork you as well. There's the president of the university has full support, supports the football team fully. There's no Donna Shalala that basically cut the knees of the football team. That's not happening as well. So this program is ascending. It's ascending. It's like I posted in my cinematic tribute to the Canes this past season. They're gonna build an empire, bro. I mean, college football may love it. They're gonna hate to love it. I mean, they're gonna love and hate it. I mean, it's gonna be a fun ride, because I think this program is heading in a very, very, very good direction. And if they can get Darian Mensah, which I do expect them to be a Miami Hurricane eventually, in general, this team could compete for another national championship next year. I mean, and even win the ACC. Because my perspective as well is Dawson's offense works better when you have a quarterback that can move versus a quarterback that's a traditional pocket passer. So and you have a lot of guys coming back. We talked about it before. Forgive me if I'm going a little bit off script here. We talked about off camera and so on. Torrey coming back, Milton coming back. You just picked up Damon Wilson, and even without Damon Wilson, I'll be very frank with you, Q. I thought our edge rushers were beasts anyway. This is just a nice veteran addition to the team. Then you have Lightfoot getting more experience. You can have Hayden Lowe, Scroggins, Booker Pickett as well, Cole McConaughey as well. The interior line, you have Justin Scott, as well. You have Jarquez Carter, who the Canes were really, really after, committed to Ohio State, hit the portal. Now he's a Cane. So the defensive tackle position is still going to be really, really solid. Again, linebackers, we just talked about that. The young guys, the veterans, and with Popo, and then we have Torrey. And, of course, we have the secondary. It's a little tweak. You can't replace a Jacoby Thomas, a Keontae Scott, but we saw great promise from Jabori Antoine, Federico's coming back, Fitzgerald Bald, Poiser's playing, and the group of freshmen that are coming in this year are all ballers and dogs, man. So, I mean, this program is heading in the right direction. Proud of the team, proud of what we've done, and the Canes aren't going away anytime soon. They're definitely not going away.
Yeah, I think, obviously all that, Will said, when you're looking at, just this year, right? Again, going back to that, extremely proud of them, man. I think, you're looking at the trajectory of the program, obviously very closely mirroring the trajectory of Mario Cristobal as a coach, right? And what I mean by that is you're looking at some of the, listen, for whatever people thought of Mario outside of the recruiting aspect of things, right? I think everybody can agree that there was some shortcomings, right? I don't think there were consistent shortcomings, but I think there were things that I think everybody could universally agree that Mario, I think, had to get better at in terms of the game day, right? And a lot of it, some clock mismanagement sometimes, and obviously, again, nobody wants to relive the didn't kneel against Georgia Tech, but all that just kind of are some of the things that people just kind of reference when you talk about, well, he's a good recruiter, but there's always that but with Mario Cristobal up until this year, right? But now when you're looking at the page that has been turned, right? You're looking at there's nothing obvious to me that sticks out in my mind in terms of Mario Cristobal and shortcomings on game day and them not being this or not being prepared, not blah 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 blah. I think we've kind of turned the corner on that, right? And you sit there and look at look no further than the results on right. Look at the results on the field. Like if those things were true, then you wouldn't have you wouldn't have gone to Texas A&M and won that game, right? You wouldn't have beat Ohio State. You wouldn't have beat Texas A&M, right? You wouldn't have been within a few yards of winning your sixth national title, right? And so you're looking at a guy who is as comfortable as he's ever been at Miami in terms of his own skin, in terms of the way he's doing things, in terms of the things he's putting in place to lead Miami now into next season and beyond, right? Then add to that, you mentioned, right, Joe Echeverria, who's, the president of the university, right? Lockstep with, with Mario, right? A guy who shares a vision, right? Who shares a passion, who wants to see Miami get back on top. You look at the money aspect of things and what they're dedicating to the NIL, right? To bringing in top classes and everything like that. And so you're really, if you're a fan, you have to be excited because really for the first time this year, everything lined up, right? And listen, I texted with you and I texted with other people, like after that SMU loss. And listen, I'll be honest with you. I was angrier about the SMU loss and about the Louisville loss than I was about the title game loss. And I don't know if that's
me too.
Yeah, if that makes sense to anybody,
yeah,
or
no,
maybe
it makes perfect sense.
right. If we were the only ones, and other people, maybe no, there's no way because it was the CFP title game. But I really, really was, because I knew for a fact that Miami was a better team than Louisville, and I knew for a fact that Miami was a better team than SMU, right? But what happened in those games is mistakes, right? Is mistakes, and that's what I talk about when you're going same old Mario, right? Same old Mario coach team. Right, they wet the bed, and listen, we talked about it. Miami is a team under Mario that always shows up for the big games. Like they're in. It doesn't matter who they've played before this season that has been better than them. They've always managed to make it a game. Now, I'm not into moral victories. I'm not into participation trophies, but they have managed to make it a game against anybody that they played that's better than them. They made it a game, right? They beat Clemson with Emory. They should have beat FSU with Emory. Right, you so on and so forth, right? You look at other games, right? They played against big time opponents that even if when they haven't won, they've made it a game, right? They've also played down, to their opponents, right? And that's kind of what you got from Louisville. And I know Louisville was good, right? I'm not disrespecting them. They obviously have a lot of talent and talent that's going to play on Sundays and the whole deal. I get that, 100%. I have no problem with them. But they're not better than Miami, right? SMU, pretty good team, right? Good quarterback, right? Kevin Jennings and the whole deal. They were on the road. But you can argue that if they don't call that BS roughing the passer or Marquise Lightfoot, they win that game.
Yeah.
Right. And so just when you thought that, oh man, here we go again. November comes, Mario's going to turn into a pumpkin. This team is about to spiral and they're going to finish 8-4. They did the exact opposite, right? Mm-hmm. After that SMU game, the SMU was the second loss, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so they lose that game in Dallas against SMU, and from that point on, they go on a tear. They start kicking the hell out of everybody. Mm-hmm. Carson Beck is playing really well now, turning the ball over. Everybody just elevates their game, right? And they go on a tear. They finish off great, and they make the college football playoff, right? So it's what I'm talking about in terms of this program mirroring, very closely Mario in terms of his progression and his getting better as a coach. Now you see this team kind of doing the same, right? They were resilient when they could have gone in the tank after the SMU loss and everybody downing them and everybody wondering if they were going to make the playoff. They did anything but, right? They got back to work. They fought. They kicked the hell out of everybody because they were winning by like 4 touchdowns every damn game, it seemed like. Carson Beck got it together. The running game got together. The defense got it together. Everybody kind of got on the same page. They fought. They went on a tear and made the playoff, right? When a lot of people, said they shouldn't have. And everybody was butthurt because Notre Dame didn't make it. When in reality, Notre Dame should have been mad at Alabama making it, not Miami. But again, another topic for another podcast. But again, this narrative that Mario's guys aren't prepared. Mario's guys make mistakes. Mario's guys, they don't do this or they don't do that. Listen, man, I think we've officially gotten to a point where we should turn the page on that narrative, right? And give the guys props, right? They won 3 playoff games, right? And listen, man, I think moving forward, right? This is a program that you really have to like, where they're at. You really have to like the direction. And I think sky's the limit when you consider where the school sits at, its recruiting base, the money that is being dedicated, to this cause. They're redoing the indoor practice facility. There's so many things going on, right? I think there's renewed energy, in the community for the team. I think, they're now these dudes that are in, middle school, who are your future high schoolers, which are your future college football players. They're seeing Miami, be really, really good for the first time in a long time. And I think they're getting excited. And I think there's really, really good momentum and positivity with the program, man. And I think moving forward, you can only be excited about that.
Yeah, I think hopefully we get in the direction, like you like to say all the time, where we're Georgia, we're picking and choosing versus heavy duty recruiting. And I think we're going to start to see that Miami is in line for Lick Lanier, who I think is the number 1 receiver in the 2027 recruiting cycle. So that's a good, yeah, he is a stud. And I'll be doing a show on him sometime in the near future. And they're in line with him as well. So of course they got
and his quarterback too was Neiman Lawrence, who everybody's expecting to reclassify to 27 along with Nick Lanier. So.
Yeah, it's gone very well, and I agree with you. I think that, first of all, a lot of coaches make mistakes. Okay, they make mistakes, they make boneheaded decisions, and I really don't think it was a good idea what Kirby Smart did on 4th and 3 in his own 30-yard line and having no pass protection, and Gunnar Stockton got mauled, and Ole Miss took. I think that's when Ole Miss took the go ahead touchdown.
Can you imagine if Mario? And I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you imagine if Mario makes that call?
Oh, no, they would have.
And listen, and this is a thing, right? Like, because look at who it was, right? Yeah. Most people consider Kirby Smart the best college football coach in the country, right? Now, listen, you can make the argument for a couple of people. Now, obviously, Chris Signetti at the very top of that list. Now, listen, if he's not the best, he's a top 3 coach in the country, and he's probably not 3. If we're being 100% honest. But with that being said, do you see how quickly people just turn the page on that bonehead mistake? Because remember, afterwards, I don't know if you saw what the press conference was like, but Kirby came out and said that that's a ball that shouldn't have been snapped, right? They shouldn't have snapped the ball, right? And so imagine if Mario said that. Oh my God, Mario has no control of his program, and he's got no control of the offense. And what an idiot.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't think I'm exaggerating. But this is what winning gets you. Yeah. This is what being a multiple time, title winner / the most successful run, of anybody to ever coach over the course, 10, 11 years now. Yeah. Like that gets you goodwill. That gets you what's the you get benefit.
It gets to a pass. It gets to a pass.
Yeah, it gets to a pass. Mm-hmm. Right? You get benefit of the doubt. Why? Because you've done so much more good than bad. Right? People look at that and they go, "Oh well, yeah, it was bad, but but look at what he's done. Right? Look at what he's won. So people tend to give you a pass when you've done so much good, and as Kirby Smart should. Right? Listen, it can happen to anybody. Right? You're not going to be perfect all the time. It was a bonehead mistake. Gunnar Stockton shouldn't have snapped the ball, right? Nobody blocked. I don't know who it was, the left defensive end coming around the corner, and that probably cost him the game, right? And so, again, it's funny how with certain programs and certain coaches, certain narratives exist, and then other coaches, people just like, it's no big deal. That's Kirby Smart. It's no big deal.
Mario did that in the national championship game on his own 35, but the defense had been out there so long that I think
Yeah.
and what Mario's been telling us, I need to give these guys a break. So I'm gonna roll the dice here. It's 4th and 1. I still got a 235-pound running back, and I still have a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. So I'm gonna roll the dice, and they barely made it, but they made it. They got a first down, and that's actually I think what led to the missed field by Carter Davis. That may have been that drive that led to the missed field goal, if I'm not mistaken. But the bottom is Mario tried it, but at least Mario's made a little bit more sense. You didn't have a guy in shotgun. You had your best, biggest offensive lineman there, your best, and you gave it to your best running back, and he fell forward, and it worked out. So, but I mean, like when I saw Kirby Smart call that, I'm like, it's a crucial moment in the game. You're backed up in your end. The offense for Ole Miss was humming. You're giving them a short field. I didn't see how that could work. To Georgia's benefit.
Wow.
In this
I remember seeing that and going, "Oh my God, they hiked it! Oh my God, they hiked it!" Like I was like, "What? What are you guys doing?" Like no matter how that play would have turned out, short of a touchdown, like no matter how that play would have turned out, it wasn't a good idea. It was not a good idea, right? And again, where you're backed up at, the way Ole Miss was looking, right? But again, you're right. Just like anything, is what I keep saying, right? When you've done what Kirby has done, it's really easy for people to just turn the page quickly and look back on it and not dwell on it like, oh my God, Kirby did this and Kirby did that, because he's done so much more good than bad. Again, man, people just look on you favorably. People just like turn the page quickly, and it doesn't linger, right? It doesn't linger on podcasts or on ESPN or among the fan base. People just forget about it. They go, we'll be fine, because again, it's Kirby Smart, right? And so I can't blame him, right? But again, it's just funny that if Mario would have done the same thing, we'd still be talking about it now. Literally, would still be talking about it.
It would have burned him at the stake.
100%. It would have been absolutely it would have been so ridiculous, right? And so,
definitely.
Again, man, when you look at the game in total, going back to it, first half, terrible, right? First half, I was worried, right? And then you look at the second half, totally turn it around.
Mm-hmm.
And again, another example of where this staff under Mario is now, right? Because listen, what we've learned from this program, right, in previous years, that second half could have been really bad. Yeah. Like the first half would have bled into the second half, and it just would have been a disaster, right? And so it was really impressive on both sides of the ball, right? From Shannon Dawson, from Corey Heatherman, that they were just able to turn it around, right? They didn't receive the second half kick. Indiana, they went out there, and the defense just they came out with their damn hair on fire, completely turned the game around. And so when you're looking at the way the game went, I'd say they dominated the second half, but they played their asses off in the second half.
Yeah.
Right.
And they outscored Indiana 21-17 in the second half.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So they not only they outscored them, I'm gonna say they dominated them, but they definitely outplayed them and outscored them in the second half. Mm-hmm. Right. And you look at, it's funny because I was telling Russ a little while ago some of these facts, and I some of the stuff that I wrote down right here about when the game, like before the game started, if you look at these facts right here, and somebody tells you this and you go, yeah, I would take this, right? And you look at and I'll bring it up here in just a second. And again, you look at it and go, yeah, I would definitely take that. How did I put it, man? Bear with me here for just a second. So it's actually because Gabby put this out. So shouts out to Gabby Rudy for putting this together. So if I would have told you this, Mark Fletcher was going to run for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. If Malachi Toney was going to have 110 yards and a touchdown. If Miami had 3 sacks and 6 tackles for loss compared to Indiana, which had 1 of each. If Fernando Mendoza was going to throw for under 200 yards with 0 passing touchdowns. If I would have told you all that, would you have predicted Miami was going to win the game? Right? So this is the thing, man. When you hear people talk and And I think it kind of all goes back to this hate that Miami just generates from people just for really no reason other than people just hate on Miami.
Mhm.
But when you sit there and you hear those numbers, and you watch the game, you actually watch the game and you have an idea of what you were watching. Like, to me, I don't understand how anybody thought that this wasn't going to be a close game, right? I don't know how people didn't realize that Miami very much had a chance to win this game, right? And I think when you look at it, I think it was lost on special teams. All things considered, if you don't give up, if you make that field goal and you don't give up that BS, block punt for a touchdown, Miami wins this game, right? Because again, Indiana didn't dominate it in any way, shape, form, or fashion. That did not happen, right? And so, again, I think it's all, we talked about them having to, play a really clean game. And listen, man, they had some penalties, right? They had some penalties that extended drives. The that face mask penalty that cost them, they had them, on third down and long. They had them stopped. That face mask penalty, extended drive, pass interferences, some stuff that should have happened. And also at the same token, man, credit to Indiana. I think they ran the ball better than I thought they were going to be able to.
Yeah, me too.
I think those backs really were really. I was impressed with how hard they ran the ball, how many tackles they broke. I did not expect that from them. Those are guys that were not big dudes. Hemby and Black, I think was it Keon Black or Kalen Black or something like that.
Black.
Hey, those guys are not big dudes, right? And they were breaking tackles, right? They broke Mo Torre's tackles, and they were breaking, they were breaking Amon Moten's tackles. I mean, they were running through arm tackles, right? And so, people were having a gang tackle them and stuff. And dude, I was.
They're not
really,
big
really
as far as height goes, but they're stocky. Like
they are. Yeah, they're not slight.
I think Black is like 5'9", 205, 210 or something like that. They're not like tall. Like Fletcher's like 6'2". Exactly. He's a big guy, 235. But I think Black's like maybe under 6 feet, but he's like 210. He's a pretty big dude. But again, I completely agree with you. Like they broke a lot of tackles and they ran really hard.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, hats off to them. Again, man, the guys definitely played bigger than their height for sure. I mean, they played behind a good O-line, which I still think got away with with a couple holds that I think probably should have been called. But again, man, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses or anything like that, man. I think Miami was definitely in the game. They were in the game, and I think they could have won the game, and in my opinion, I think should have won the game. But that's what you get. Again, man, if you don't play a clean game, against a team like Indiana, that's going to be the result, man. And you're going to lose. So, again, excited for the future. What I wanted to bring up also, aside from what the game turned out like, and our general excitement for the future, what is your view on what's your view on the roster, like as it stands now, in terms of, I mean, you feel like are you excited about it, or are you worried about any positions? What do you what's your view on the actual roster right now?
Yeah, I'm okay with the roster. I think the roster is gonna be really good. If it wasn't for Izzy Briggs and for Gavin Mueller coming in, I would be worried about the tight end position, only because I think Elijah Lofton's good. I think he'll be your only real option. Luka Gilbert, I think, is more of a block. From what I've heard, he's more of a blocking tight end. They want to use him for that, and maybe like a red zone threat. Of course, you saw what happened to Alex Bauman. That was he's been talk of a lot of conversations. Aside from his blocking, his catching has been much to be desired as well. But I like a running back room. If we're able to get Mensa, I would love a quarterback room. I like Nickel. Only thing I've heard about Luke Nickel is that he throws so many picks in practice. It's the reason why they've gone so portal heavy and searching for quarterback. Wide receiving core, even if he didn't touch the transfer portal, I think our wide receiving core is full of young studs. Guys like Malachi Tony, Joshua Moore, Dalen Upshaw, and incoming guys like Milan Paris, Samarian Wingo, Vance Spafford as well. Our offensive line is not very experienced in game, but they're still gonna be pretty good. Hopefully we get Jordan Seaton to replace Marco Bell at left tackle. But our right side is gonna be Jackson Cantwell, right, as well. Our right guard position, I think, is possibly Ryan Rodriguez. I might be guessing, or maybe Matthew McCoy. They may shift him that direction, or they'll try Ryan Rodriguez at center, or SJL Faituli at center, Then you have at left guard Samson Okulola, okay, or they might move to left tackle, depending on what happens with Seaton. We'll see that. Our defense is good. We just got good news. Moton's coming back. Interior line looks pretty solid. Ends, I have no question about. Pretty happy with our linebacker room. It's going to be a little hard to replace a guy like Keontae Scott and Jacoby Thomas, but those guys are dogs, man. Frederick's coming back. You got, Sipo Waters, Chapori Antoine, have Camden Portis, Bryce Fitzgerald, Zachariah Poyser. You got Cortez Redding coming in. You have JJ Dunnigan coming in as well. So overall, in general, I do like this roster. I do think they might take a dip in terms of the numbers defensively because you can't replace Bain and Mesidor. Just a little dip, nothing too significant, in general. But I can't see why this roster can't compete for an ACC championship, actually win the whole damn thing in general, and get back in the college football playoffs. I think I'm really happy with the roster. Even if Luke is the quarterback, I still think we can still make a CFP.
Yeah, the roster, and right as and literally speaking of roster, I just got a text from somebody, and then I was like, "Damn, let me look on Twitter to see if it's true." And JoJo Trader is in the portal.
Oh,
that one sucks. That one sucks. Especially now when you consider we got Pringle back, out of the portal. Losing JoJo Trader, I think that one sucks for sure.
Yeah.
But listen, it's when you consider and you look at the roster, man, and you look at the strength of this team, every legit team starts at the quarterback position. I think the quarterback position is going to get figured out with with Darian Mensah. Hopefully, he's going to be in the mix. You look at receiver, and I would figure, now with JoJo Trader entering the portal, I think JoJo Trader probably saw what everybody else is seeing, right? What you're seeing, and the fact that is a really deep and talented room, right? You're looking at all the talents left over from this year. You're looking at the leading receiver from Duke, possibly coming over, with Darian Mensah possibly, a guy who's going to walk in and start immediately. And I think a room, honestly, man, that in the title game, I think that was one of our biggest problems on offense, right? And when you look at what Carson Beck did and what he was able to do, or what he did and wasn't able to do. Listen, Carson Beck had time to throw the ball.
Yeah.
If you look at Carson Beck was back there with a ton of time to throw the ball. The problem was, I heard a lot of people. That's why I mean it. Carson Beck can't catch a break at Miami. Everybody's like, oh my God, he was just back there tapping the ball. No, he was waiting for somebody to get open. Right? He was waiting for somebody to get open. That's a problem. And guys like CJ Daniels and Keelan Marion simply weren't getting open. Now, credit to Indiana for playing, really good, playing really good coverage. But there's no reason why D'Angelo Pons should be able to cover CJ Daniels, right? CJ Daniels is every bit of 6'2". D'Angelo Pons is 5'9" on a good day, right? So there's no reason why he should be able to lock him up the way he did. Keelan Marion did nothing, right? And so, again, I say all that to say, I think the receiver room next year, I think it is going to be a strength. I mean, obviously, I wish JoJo Trader would stick around for that. But listen, man, at the end of the day, as a program, you can't get caught up in who's not going to be here, right? We talked about, Gerard Pringle coming back. Listen, man, even if he would have left, you look at the program, you look at that running back room and you say, hey, listen, Mark Fletcher, Shamar Brown, Jordan Lyle, if he gets himself together. Obviously not with Gerard Pringle, you still got Hellcat back there, right? You've got Javian Mallory, coming at the running back position. Like, listen, man, you're getting to the point now where people are looking at this roster and at these backups and going, hey, these backups can come in and start in our program. Like, this is where we're at as a team, right? And so, again, can't get caught up in who's not going to be here, right? And when you're looking around at the roster, I think you got to be excited for when Darian Mensah comes in. Then you look at possibly having Luke Nickel, and then Darian Coleman after that. I think the hopefully that QB room is in good position. You look at the wide receiver position. I think they're going to be deep and talented. There's going to be an infusion of speed next year, and I think we need guys that can get open. Period. Point blank. Guys have to get open at the wide receiver position. The running back room, I think, is going to be really good. The O line, we've lost, I think, was it 4 starters officially? But I think with the depth that's there, and what they're going to develop, I think you have to be excited based on what Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal obviously do at that position. On defense, the defensive line, I think I don't know that they're going to be what they were this year, but I think they're going to be really, really good again. They're deep at the end. They're really good at D tackle also. At DB, they've got a ton of dudes back there at corner. That I think you're going to be able to get a nice rotation of at least 4 to 5 guys that are going to be, really good. Xavier Lucas is coming back. Ethan O'Connor. You have Damari Brown back. I think this kid Omar Thornton that they got from Boston College. I think is going to fill in for Keontae Scott. Yeah,
I forgot about him.
Yeah, he's going to be really good, I think. And then at safety, again, Bryce Fitzgerald. You'll have Poyser. Again, back there, obviously Jacoby Thomas leaving is a big loss. But if Poyser can be anywhere near, what Jacoby Thomas was, and I think we've got something. And obviously Poyser's really good. So listen, man, there's talent and there's depth across the roster. Obviously, I think there's, a couple positions that I think are more talented than others. But when you're looking around, man, on offense and on defense, you really, really have to like the talent. You really, really have to like the depth, and then what they're doing in the transfer portal, and they're not going crazy, right? They're not one of these teams that's out there, landing, 25, 30 players in the transfer portal. I think they're being selective, and I think they're bringing in some key veteran guys to supplement, all the positions, right? You lose Mesidor and Bain, you bring in a guy like Damon Wilson from Missouri, right? So. Again, across everywhere else, man, they're selective. They're being selective because I think they can be, because I think they like the roster as it sits now. And then now they're just kind of picking and choosing, how they're going to supplement in order to add key depth, but also not stunt the growth of the young guys, that are coming up and developing. So I think the roster building strategy, I think, is on point. And again, man, it's just one more thing Mario is doing really, really well now in his time at Miami.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And again, if you want to compete for a championship, you still need some veteran leadership in every single position. And I think bringing in the wide receiver out of South Carolina was a good move. And let me tell you, it doesn't mean that they're going to start right away. We had Walter Johnson come in, and he was leapfrogged by Dalen Upshaw. Okay, so it's just that it might be just a depth position as well.
Tony Johnson, you mean? Tony Johnson.
What do you call him, Walter Johnson?
Walter.
Well, I'm thinking of the baseball player from like the 40s.
Might be his dad. I don't know.
Tony Johnson.
Yeah, Tony Johnson. I expected a little bit more from Tony Johnson this year.
And Dalen Upshaw actually went up over him in the depth chart. So I mean, he's going to play the best guys. And there was an infusion of speed, not just in the transfer portal, but also in recruiting. Like Van Spafford is freaking fast, right? He runs like a 4.3, so he runs very good routes. So I mean, he's done a very good job again. And you need veteran players. Look, Indiana won because they had experienced veteran players. Okay, the average age was 23 on that team. And Miami had a good combination of young guys with vets, and I think that's how you win championships. So I mean, I like what I've seen. I like the way the roster is. I like transfer portal picks as well. They didn't go crazy like you said, as well. They haven't gone crazy. They're being very selective, and they're basically just plugging in holes, mainly just to fill depth with the team and at the quarterback position as well, which I think is good because you will have an inexperienced line on game day playing, even though they're very talented. There's still that lack of experience in terms of like playing a Notre Dame, playing a Florida State, in general. And I think a guy with immense experience can navigate through that slight inexperience early on in the season. So that's why I really want a transfer portal guy to come in.
Yeah. I think, man, look, JoJo Trader, man, I'm not going to sit here and slander the kid. I think obviously there's some stuff that I think if you hear from people that are connected to the program and everything like that, I think there's some stuff obviously that he had to get better at. and obviously a kid, kid who was super highly recruited, right? Played on the same field on the same team as, and on the other side of Jeremiah Smith, right? So, again, a guy super talented in the whole deal, but just never got it together, man. Some big time drops at SMU.
Mhm.
A guy whose work ethic I think had been kind of questioned a little bit, and like I said, listen, every major program, when you get to this level in the college football, you're gonna lose some guys. There's gonna be a lot of your guys that are backups and everything that are gonna be really attractive to other teams, and that's where Miami's
Mhm.
at, right? And again, good luck to him if he if he's in the portal now. Who knows if he officially leaves or not. But if he does, man, look, good luck to him. But if I'm looking at that wide receiver room, when you're looking at what they brought in, this kid Ventravius Jacobs from South
Yep.
Carolina, Vaughn, I think from West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes. Mhm.
And then this kid Partake from Duke, if he comes in, with Darian Mensa, look, you got right there, man. Along with Malachi Tony, that top four, along with everything else you have at that position, you got with Dalen Upshaw, with Josh Moore, with the four freshmen you got coming in, this year,
Yeah.
dude. I'm not remotely worried about JoJo Trader leaving. I'll be honest with you. Like, again, is he a talented kid? Yeah. But you're losing again. Whenever you lose somebody in the portal, you're looking at the way I'm judging it is: are we losing production or are we losing potential? And with JoJo Trader, we're losing potential, right? That's the way I look at that, right? Is the kid
Mhm.
talented? Yeah. Is he from South Florida? Yeah. Did he play at one of the powers, in high school football? Yeah, 100%. But at the end of the day, what you're losing there, what's walking out the door is potential, not production, right? And so I think you're replacing potential with production with the guys you're bringing in from the transfer portal, and then you're excited about what you have, with a number of guys, behind them, right? After you get past those four, dude, you've got another like six guys that you're excited about. So, in the grand scheme of things, when you're looking at a room with those 10 guys, I don't think losing JoJo Trader is a big deal. And again, man, yeah, good luck to him. Hope he goes somewhere and plays well and earns a bunch of money and the whole deal. But at the end of the day, man, you're losing potential. You're not losing production.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I mean, I wanted him to stay because I think that, again, about potential, and I think that he could take a leap. He could be able to take a leap this past year. That you saw the talent, as well. We saw snippets of it, especially when Cam Ward, was here in the Pop Tart Bowl. He threw a touchdown pass. So we even saw a snippet of it against SMU. He caught a really good touchdown pass, in which he broke a tackle as well. So we saw the potential there. But I mean, you bring in a couple guys, a couple vets, and you have these all four studs coming in as well. You probably saw something he didn't like. I know he felt a little bit out of favor with the coaching staff a little bit. We had to work his way back into, onto the football field. So I mean, it is. Listen, man, the transfer portal giveth, but it taketh away too, and that's pretty much where we're at. As far as the thing goes, I'm happy to have Pringle back though. I think that he was a part of a three-headed monster that got us into the CFP. I just think he's gonna get bigger. He's gonna get older. He's gonna get bigger, and I'm glad he's sticking with the team. All he has to do is wait one more year. He could be running back one. We'll see how that goes as well. So I'm glad he's back. I'd rather have him honestly than JoJo because I think that Pringle's a good change of pace back that catch the ball in the backfield as well. And I think the pass protection will come along with practice and of course his body getting older and building up some size as well. So I'm not too worried about Pringle as well. But I saw him in spring. I'm like, this kid's gonna be a stud. And then we saw him in ACC competition, and he balled, as well. Unfortunately, when he faced some really tough defenses, he couldn't get loose, and that's why he sat on the bench, and you had Marty Brown and Mark Fuller taking the bulk of the carries. But I think he's got a bright future now, and I think that's potential, and that's turning into success for this team.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on, again, if you made me pick one or the other, obviously I would definitely go with Pringle in terms of who would I prefer to keep between Gerard Pringle and JoJo Trader. Again, no disrespect to JoJo Trader, but I think now we've seen the Gerard Pringle, we've seen what he's able to do when he gets on the field. I think he's just scratching the surface, right? I think a guy who's the more time he spends in the program and in the, obviously in the weight room, a guy who's going to get bigger, who's going to learn the offense better, who's going to be able to block better. And obviously there's a way quicker path for him to make an impact on this team than there would have
Yeah.
been for JoJo Trader. So again, you obviously both talented guys, but I think given what the wide receiver room looks like without JoJo Trader and what the running back room would have looked like without Gerard Pringle, again, I think it's a no-brainer. I think I'd rather keep Gerard Pringle. Hopefully Jordan Lyle doesn't enter the transfer portal. I don't know that he'd have a huge market given
injury.
This past season, right? He didn't do anything, right? And so I don't know why he would enter the portal, right? Weirder things have happened. But again, if you bring back that running back room next year, along with adding Javian Mallory to it and everything, who I think is a guy who might be able to, to get some burn against your lesser teams. I think they're in good shape. The one room, the one position group I think on the team that I think probably leaves a little bit to be desired, and coincidentally enough, they're looking for a new tight ends coach. I don't know if you heard that, right? Cody Woody.
Yeah, Coach Woody went to Ole Miss.
Took the Ole Miss job, and so again, good luck to him. Again, a guy who I think recruited the position well for Miami, but I think in the end, left a lot to be desired in terms of the way that room kind of lacked impact this year, right? I think it's easy to point to Elijah Arroyo, but I don't know that his I don't know that was really again, he'll get the credit for it because he was a tight ends coach, but I think Elijah Arroyo was going to be Elijah Arroyo regardless, right? And again, you look at what this team lacked on offense, aside from some wide receivers that could get open consistently. I think they lacked the impact from the tight end room. I think Alex Bauman was very, very ordinary. Again, I don't think that I expected him to be Elijah Arroyo, but I definitely expected more of an impact from the guy. And so, I know you mentioned Luka Gilbert before. I think Luka Gilbert is a guy who I think can be more than just an inline, blocking guy. He's a big dude. I think he moves pretty well. It was a shame to lose Brock Shot, especially to Indiana, because I thought he was going to be really good. He's a guy who can he's fast as hell for a tight end. But then you look at the guys coming in this freshman class, and you got to be excited for them. So again, man, I think this roster is in really good shape. Moving forward, hopefully, I would love to see. I don't know what names you've heard or thought about, for that tight end gig, but I definitely would look at Georgia, for a couple guys that used to be on the staff here. Todd Hartley was on the staff here. James Coley was on the staff here. I wouldn't mind seeing one of those guys come back home and recruit for Miami. I know internally there's been some talk about Coach Field maybe taking that gig or bringing back Edwin Pata to take that position, but we'll see. I think Mario has proven that when it's time to go and look for a new coach, I think he's by and large really the only question that we had on the staff this year was the tight end coach, and he's gone, right? And so I'm confident that he'll be able to find the right guy for the position, a guy who can recruit and develop, and we'll see what that turns into.
Yeah, my pick would be Coley. I think Coley will do very well here. He's a good recruiter. You can make him Cole see if anything, as well. So I think that he'd be my pick. I do like the Pata pick because he's obviously very beloved here in South Florida. So that'd be another good pick. But I mean, I think he's gonna make a good decision. I'm actually more worried about getting a special teams coordinator. I think we should do that this year.
Yeah,
I think that's something that we should spend money on.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see. I think we've seen now for a couple seasons, right? This season and I think last season was kind of the same. Because last season we were atrocious on special teams, and so I think it's come time, now where, again, I saw something, I don't know who posted it, but somebody was talking about like a guy like Todd Hartley, who would be like a tight ends coach and a special teams coach. I don't know how realistic that is or not. I don't think that's a very common type of design on a coaching staff, but no matter what, they need to figure out a way to address special teams so that next year it's a source of strength and it's a difference making unit, because I think you have too much talent on this roster to not be able to insert guys in there that can flip the field at any given moment, keep punts from getting blocked, be more sound on the in their blocking schemes when you're talking about punts and kicks and everything. So definitely in my opinion, I think something needs to be done at that position. So we'll see what they come up with. But again, all in all, man, you really have to like where this team is moving forward in terms of the roster. You have to like where they're at in terms of the coaching staff. Again, man, I think it's just moving in a really positive way. I think we're heading in the right direction. We'll see how everything shakes out with Darian Mensah. But again, I would imagine, I think he goes back to court February 2nd.
Yeah, the next hearing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hopefully, the next week and a half that'll be figured out and decided, and we can move forward and have that solidified and no longer be a question. And again, man, outside of that, dude, I'm really for the first time in a long time, like I'm not worried about this roster moving forward in any way, shape, or form, to be honest with you.
Yeah, neither am I. Neither am I. Like I said, I'm happy with the trajectory of the program. I'm happy with every position, as well. But going back to tight ends a little bit, do you think that the loss of Riley Williams made a huge impact this season? Because he was experienced, he was athletic, a big guy, sure-handed. He didn't do much at Oregon State this year, but you think that he would have been a nice compliment to Elijah Lofton?
Yeah, nobody did much at Oregon State this year, for being 100% for being 100% honest. They just landed a new coach and everything. It was the co-OC at Alabama. Dude, I think that one hurt. I think that one hurt, man, because you saw in obviously Elijah Arroyo was the draw last year, but I think Riley Williams in his limited time, what was a guy who was really good, man. I mean, it was a guy who didn't mind blocking. Was a big dude, but a guy who once he got the ball in his hands, I think he had he had a little little juice to him and everything. And so again, man, one more year, in the program, given what the position lacked this year, I think it would have been tailor made for a guy like Riley Williams to thrive in, right? Because we really Alex Bauman, if we're being honest, man, I mean, Alex Bauman was just meh to me, right? I mean, he was, caught a couple touchdown passes, right? But just wasn't great in the blocking game, wasn't, dropped some passes, just was a guy who just doesn't bring much to the position, if I'm being honest. And so I think it was tailor made for Riley Williams this year, but he made a decision that he thought was best for him and went back home to Oregon. And I think if I saw, he's back in the portal, if I'm not mistaken.
I heard that.
I don't know if he's committed anywhere yet, but I know I'm pretty sure that I saw that he re-entered the portal. So, again, clearly, not the best choice for him to go back to Oregon State. I really wish he would have stayed. But listen, man, we've got, next year again, like we talked about, Luka Gilbert. We got the freshman, coming in, and another year of Elijah Lofton, man. I think, this is going to be one of those off seasons, and then training camps where I think we're going to have to really make a decision on what Elijah is or isn't, right? Is he a tight end, right? Or is he just like a weapon, right? I don't know at this point. I'm not convinced that he's a tight end, right? I think, he's a guy who's on the short end. He's only I think he's 6'1" on a good day.
Yeah.
The way he's built is just he's built more of like a fullback, kind of H-back type guy. And so, again, I just don't know that he's a tight end at a big time program at this point, or at least not, a Power 5 program, Power 4 program. So, I think, we'll see if maybe a different set of eyes, at the tight end coach might be able to make that decision for him and convince him, to maybe, just kind of accept a different role, because obviously just like anything, right? I mean, you could suggest anything, right? But the player has to, be okay with, he's got to be bought in, in order for that change to be successful. So, again, a guy that, that is talented, and a guy we've seen glimpses of, but a guy who we really have to decide now, going into his junior year, we have to decide, okay, is he a tight end or is he not a tight end? And then if he's not, then we have to decide, okay, who's going to, take his place in terms of the pecking order. So again, all things considered, man, when you're trying to work through what issues really there are on this team, man, I think for the first time in a long time, man, you have to look at it and be like, dude, there's not that many. Mm-hmm. There's not that many, man. Assuming you get Darian Mensah in the fold, assuming you get his wide receiver one from Duke in there, I think the biggest question marks are probably, your starters on the O-line, right? And I think, I think the starters they'll show themselves, right? I think you're replacing talent. But you've got the number one recruit in the country in Jackson Canwell, who I think pretty much is going to be a starter from day one at right tackle. If you don't land Jordan Seaton, you're looking at a guy like like Samson Okunlola maybe being the left tackle. You still got Matt McCoy. You got Ryan Rodriguez. I hate another one like low key that I really hated at the end of the portal was Tommy Kinsler.
Yeah,
because I thought
but
he
I'm
was
not
a guy.
surprised. I'm not surprised. He
Yeah,
gave the
yeah,
team 3 years, and he was basically on special teams.
yeah.
So I'm not really surprised.
I hate that, but this was like I feel like this was the year that you almost could have penciled him in for that Inez Cooper right guard spot.
Possibly,
Almost, right?
Actually,
Possibly, right? Obviously, nothing guaranteed.
Yeah, what's funny? I would have mind seeing him try defensive tackle. He played both positions in high school, so I would have thought maybe they would try maybe a DT a little bit just for depth purposes. But nah. Yeah, I listen. I get you. And he was a top recruit, and he was a rah guy, for the program as well. Like Antonio Tripp was, who entered the portal last year, once ended up at FIU. But I'm not surprised. But I've always said this, man. If you give a school 3 years and you're not sure if you're even gonna sniff the starting spot, I'm not mad at you if you try something else. But I mean,
I'm even listen for me personally in today's day and age, I'm closer to 2 years.
Really,
I'm closer to 2 years, dude. Listen, if after 2 years you just have not made an impact, you really have to decide. Okay, is this the best deal for me right now? Right? I think 2 years just based on NIL, 2 years based on eligibility and everything. Like, I think 2 years at most positions, I think is enough to be like, okay, I have a future here or I don't have a future here, right? And I think for both sides, right? Because I think the school, depending on what the NIL commitment is, you have to look at it and be like, hey, man, you know, been 2 years, and next year doesn't look much better for you. So portal's open, you may want to consider that. And so again, I'm with you, man, in terms of Kinsler. Again, 3 years, man. I think at that point it's just it's time to look for something else. And now you're draft eligible, right? You 3 years out of high school, you're draft eligible. I think you have to go somewhere where you're going to get reps and decide whether this football thing is for you long term or not, man. And he did what's best for him. Good luck to him. I just selfishly, I would have liked to have seen him stay.
Yeah, I get you.
And try and compete for that right guard spot. I felt like he just would have been, based on his size, and Inez Cooper, kind of the most similar body type and everything.
Yeah.
And so I would have been interested to see how he would have done in camp and possibly landing that right guard spot. But again, man, if you're looking at at a spot where obviously you're replacing starters, obviously offensive line being an important unit, but I think with what you've got on the roster, the depth there and the coaching you've got at the position, man, I would expect them to find a really good starting five.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's good. And again, you have 7 guys coming in this recruiting cycle, and they're all beasts.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't surprise me if one of the freshmen got some run. As far as it goes. Yeah,
and the guys that came in last year too. I mean, you brought in.
That's right, Max Buchanan.
Yeah, man.
As well.
Man, what are the other names? Especially the interior guys. But you brought in some depth, man. You brought in some bodies there. I think you have to be excited for what that line possibly could look like next year. So so we'll see, man. We'll see how it goes. But again, man, all in all, a great season. Can't really complain about it. And I think you just have to be excited about where this team is going.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for next year. I definitely am. I'm excited for spring as well. So I'm excited for the spring game.
Yeah, dude. Listen, I'm like I was telling Russ, they officially can't ruin my weekend for 8 more months. Which that's a good thing. But we'll be right back to that. Before we know it, we talked about the season. You blink and it's done.
It's over.
Which again, it always flies by. And it is what it is, man. But again, as a fan, again, I would imagine most people. After getting over the disappointment of Monday night, man, I think you have to look at this team, the big picture view of it. And I just think, man, I think they're finally in a position where Mario Cristobal is in a good place. I think he's figured this thing out. I think the coaches, we've got the right coaches in place on offense and defense. I think we got the right players. There's depth, there's talent. And I think moving forward, man, it's just I think good days are ahead consistently for this program.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. I'm excited. I really am. I'm excited for next season.
Yeah, man. So yeah, man, we'll see what the rest of the portal window brings. Hopefully, not too many more big losses. I don't think we lost anybody who isn't replaceable. Good thing that we get Gerard Bringle back. And everybody else that entered, man, good luck to them. Wishing them all the best unless they play Miami. And we'll just continue to wait out this Darian Mensah deal and see where it goes, man. Hopefully we lock up QB1, in the very near future, and just move on to 26, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. And I do think we get Mensah. I think we will see some of that Cam Ward flavor that we saw, with Ward at the helm a couple of years ago. But now we have a defense that could complement it. So that's what really intrigues me.
Yeah, I think also I think we need to extend Corey Heatherman for 17 years.
I agree.
As soon as we get the chance to 17-year extension for Corey Heatherman, because the transformation on that defense this year was absolutely elite. So those guys became some absolute monsters, some creatures, like Josh Pate likes to say. Those guys were violent. They separated people from the ball. Like, I don't know if you saw Mendoza after the game. I mean, that dude looked beat up. He was after that game. And so, hopefully next year, man, with big losses, but with the guys we got coming in with, Hayden Lowe at the end and Lightfoot, probably, coming in to be the starter and hopefully big shoes to fill, but hopefully they'll be able to do so and keep this thing rolling, in a really positive way. So
I think they will. Lightfoot has a lot of speed. He's very fast. And I think
did you see him run over? Did you see him run over that running back? I don't know which one of the running backs he ran over on his way to that dude. He absolutely ran that dude over. And the running back, I don't know if it was Black or Hemby, but he got low and he still got run over by Marquise Lightfoot. And Marquise Lightfoot right now, I would venture to guess Marquise Lightfoot is maybe 225 to 230, maybe. If I had to guess, I'd have to look it up because I don't know right off the top of my head. Let's see if I can find him on here. Again, I'm totally guessing. Oh, they got him down as 230.
230. So, really? 230?
Yeah, 230. That's what they got him down
as. Okay.
He came in at like 215, right? He was super light.
He was really skinny. I met him.
Yeah.
Shook my hand and everything. He was skinny.
Didn't look like a big dude.
No, he did not. He did not at all.
So, listen, man, if he's 230 now, you got to assume, coming into camp and into, next season, he's probably going to be hovering around, 240, 245. If I had to guess, obviously he's a guy whose game is built on speed, but he's a violent dude. Like, he likes to hit, right? And so, you don't want to put too much weight on him where you're going to lose that speed. But I would imagine naturally, I think he's probably going to be closer to 240, next season when the season starts. So again, man, just a lot to like, across the board, man. A lot to like with this roster, a lot to like with the coaching staff. Shouts out to Mario Cristobal and everybody else on there, man. They've done a hell of a job across the board. Uncle Luke needs to shut the hell up about Kevin Beard. That's another thing. I don't know what he's got a hard on for Kevin Beard. Something fierce. I don't know what his deal is. But again, I'm a fan of Kevin Beard. I think the receivers are a fan of Kevin Beard. I think the Cristobal is a fan of Kevin Beard. He's been recruiting the position well. And I think I don't understand Uncle Luke's deal.
It's all about Ray, bro.
Ray.
It's like, a Ray thing. It's all about Ray.
It's ridiculous.
He started last year with the whole thing about not rotating receivers enough and yada yada yada. Why can't And he's like, well, Colorado rotates receivers. I remember he had he was interviewed by Coach Hayes, and Coach Hayes brought him on because of his comments about Beard. And he was like, oh, Colorado's a lot like us, and they rotate their receivers. How come we only play 4? this and that. It was all about Ray Ray. That's pretty much where it all started, and he hasn't let that go. I'm glad Philip Dorsett said something.
Yeah, I saw that. That was good, man. I'm glad he stood up, and it's like, dude, like you're like the only dude being negative about this particular staff right now. You're literally the only one because you've got an axe to grind. Like, shut the hell up, man. Like, stop making this thing about one player. Like, he clearly wasn't good enough to get on the field. Just move on. Just shut the hell up. And so. I'm glad people are coming at him. That dude, Mike Ryan from the Levitard show. I know he's been extremely vocal about Uncle Luke, and Uncle Luke has returned the favor. But I'm glad to see former players getting involved and telling him, dude, shut the hell up, man. Like, why are you trying to cause division? In the team and amongst the fan base? No, dude, shut up. If you're down, if you're a Canes fan, then just shut up. Stop doing this. So. But anyway, whatever, man. He's gonna say what he's gonna say. I think we all know that, and whatever he feels like saying. I can't imagine he's gonna be somebody that's gonna be around the program, anytime soon. Given his big,
I think he's done.
Yeah, I would imagine he's not gonna be on campus anytime soon. So
yeah, he's done.
At least not in a welcome manner anytime soon. So, and again, for good reason. So, but yeah, bro, that's it, man. Anything else?
No, man. I will be releasing an episode soon, pretty soon. It's going to be basically a thank you to Coach Cristobal and the staff, for such a great year, such a great run. It was nice to have that old flavor we had when we were in our early 20s. The last time we experienced a Canes national championship opportunity, and I'm just grateful. So it's pretty much that's going to be my episode this week, and I'll figure out what I do afterward. I'll probably do some Dolphin coverage, and I'll start to more into the Heat of the Panthers as we roll along.
Yeah, man. I got to figure out, where my time is going to go after this. I would imagine, because again, we've only got, a couple more weeks of football. I mean, we got 3 more games, and I guess after that, probably start, I don't know, again with Bobby, maybe do some draft stuff and kind of.
That was fun last year. I had a good time doing that.
Yeah, no, it was, man. Yeah, I want to get back on there again this year and do it. Because again, I definitely enjoyed it. There was a bunch of cool people, on that coverage, man. So
yeah. Did you see what the trend I started yesterday with the Dolphin coaching staff?
Dude, I was going to ask you, what was that? It was just AI? Was that just AI?
Yeah, I want to give the full story.
I was like, holy hell, what the?
Yeah, it was AI.
It took me a minute when I looked. I went, what the hell? Like.
Yeah, it was straight up AI, bro. Straight up AI. My buddy over from my old the school I used to work at, we were very close, and he started sending me images of himself as like the head coach of the Dolphins. So I sent him that photo as an OC, and then I posted, and of course I tagged all of you because I tag all you all the time on Twitter, and then Ben Sammy, said I'm the new quarterback coach. I'm the new quarterback coach at Joe, which Ben Sammy all happy and smiley. But I thought the best photo was Bobby, man, because he looks fierce as the DC, man. He had the beard growing. He was looking at his play sheet. I'm like, he looked better than all of us, dude. And so that was a fun little trend, that we started.
Very, very natural for my guy Bobby as the DC.
Man. So, but it's scary how AI is, isn't it, man? Because that looks pretty real.
It was wild. Yeah. I saw the dude that saw the picture. Did a double take. I was like, oh, okay, that's got to be AI. That's got to be. But it took me a second. I was like, what is that?
That would be a dream, man. Be OC. I would love it.
I would, if I could pick one position to anywhere in the organization, anywhere would be GM for sure.
GM. I would love to be an OC.
GM, yeah. I would love to be a GM and like put together a team and stuff. I think that'd be pretty damn cool. So
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, bro, that's all I got, man. Definitely nice to get back on it, man. It had been a while. At least I know from my end, putting something out. So to the point where it took me long to like put the actual show together and like send it to you and everything. I was like, I think it's here. I gotta, I was like, okay, there it is. And it kind of came back to me, dude. It had been a minute. So I had been on other people's stuff and on Blitz and everything, but not anything of my own. So I'm gonna try and get back on it more regularly, man, and we'll definitely make some more stuff happen. talk more
Absolutely,
about the
man.
Canes
Anytime,
and talk
bro.
more about the NFL season. We'll get get any more portal additions here and everything, man. We'll break it down staff wise, everything. I'm sure they'll give us more to talk about here soon. But yeah, bro, appreciate you joining me, man.
Sure. Appreciate you too.
All right, guys. If you like what you heard tonight, do us a huge favor. Like and subscribe to both of our shows. You can find my buddy 305, Will from 305 Sports Now, everywhere, YouTube and IG and X and everything like that. As far as for me, Hate Football Pod on X, I Hate Football Podcast on YouTube and Instagram. And we appreciate you guys joining in, hanging out with us. And until next time, y'all take it easy. Peace.
Thanks, man. That was awesome.